Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. And of course, I think of my favorite quote of the century by Oscar Wilde, which says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously, so lighten up, folks." So today's topic is, drumroll please, dating life 7. Yay! All right, so hopefully you've watched parts 1 through 6. Uh, you know, I've spoken about a lot so far. So the point of this one is that from my dating history, the reality of the matter is I've not been, as they say, lucky in love. I guess I have been, but when I think of some of my friends or people that I know that are like, oh, I've been with someone for, in a relationship for 10 years, 20 years, like, I don't have that longevity. Like, my history is not like that at all. That's just the reality. Uh, so what I've ended up getting in my life or having happen is where like I will have these intense relationships that will last like 6 months to a year. I think the longest is maybe like 2 years. Uh, and there was a definitive beginning, middle, and end. And there was an intense relationship that maybe didn't last 10 years but there was the definitive mourning period, there was the sadness when it all came to the end, and for all intents and purposes I was like in it. And myself, there's usually like this unwritten law with myself where like if I meet someone and if I like them and if we're getting along and there's a good connection, and especially frankly if we're being intimate and that part of it is good, then I tend to just have eyes for one person, like without even having a conversation of let's be monogamous or whatever. Like if I'm dating you and if we have all of that going on, then I tend to like not necessarily go outside of that. Now, having said that, have I actually ever lived with anyone? No. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I graduated college at 22 and immediately moved out. So for the last 38 years of my life, basically my whole adult life, I've always lived alone. I've never even had a roommate. And even when I've been involved with someone for those 6 months or 1 year uh, or 2 years, uh, we always maintain separate apartments. And so I'm always curious to see like how would I be in that situation, because I am kind of fiercely independent, and you know I've always had nice apartments, and I like everything to be in its place. And when you have someone living with you, if you're living together, then that just sort of like adds a whole other element of like now you're sharing a space. And I would hope that I would be fine with that, but I mean, let's not put the cart before the horse, because I've never even lasted long enough where it even got to that point, or I guess it wasn't intense enough. It just didn't go in that direction, and that's fine. But it's interesting too, because I guess the whole point of why I wanted to say this is because the people that I do know who have had these long relationships, or even who have not, but when I express the fact that my history is so like these intense short relationships, then people have actually been like, well, do you really consider that like a relationship? Well, yeah, because I don't really think that length of time dictates what's what. So, like, who's to say that someone who was with someone for 10 years had a better or more intense relationship than maybe someone I was with for 1 year? Maybe because I'm from the Bronx, we're progressive. So I'm progressive. So we went from the beginning, middle, and end in a much shorter period of time. I do believe in time management, and I tend to expedite the matter, as it were. So that's always been the interesting thought for me, because I have been told that where like it's almost like, I don't want to say that they dismiss it, but people, some people have like looked at the short-lived romance and kind of like dismissed it as it not really being anything major. Well, to that, the only part of that that I would agree with is if you're with someone for 10 years and you break up, there's a good chance that the majority of that 10 years was not all that great anyway. You know what? Because so many people end up staying in these fucked up, stupid relationships that they shouldn't be in, or maybe it ran its course after year one, but then people are afraid of being alone, or they'd rather be with someone or be in a bad relationship than be alone. That's not me. Like, once, if it's not working out or if it ends and it only lasts 6 months or a year, well, I'd rather be alone and happy than in a bad relationship and not happy. So, not to say people in long term relationships are not happy, but there are a lot of situations like that. And but that's okay because we are all the unique individuals that we are. So we do what's best for us. Anyway, I'm making this one short. So, and that was the point of this video, was the moral, as it were, is that I don't think length of time dictates the intensity, because who's to say that my 6 month or 1 month relationship wasn't as intense as a 10-year one, or maybe when it ended, my mourning of it coming to an end is any less or any more than someone who was in a longer term relationship. I guess, the only difference is, would a 1 year relationship or 6 months be considered like a long term relationship? Would I necessarily put it under that category? No. But I will say that, doesn't diminish what I experienced. So, and that's just been the luck of my draw, and I'm okay with it. So, all right, that's the scoop. Give me your thoughts. Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think like time dictates what's what? Like, when if you know someone who was with someone for a year and then it broke up, do you kind of look at them as like and be like, "Oh, girl, that was nothing," or do you agree with me where it is something and the length of time is a moot point? Okay, thanks so much. Don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. By all means, tell all your friends all about me, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Love you.